Okay, I think we're, yeah, are we So this start of this video might be interesting for everybody watching at home because I've never used this before. So I think we're recording. Hi, everybody. uh, I'm back. On my channel, it's Jerry Morris with Views with Verse, where I chat to somebody different as much as possible to get different views from around the universe, talking about spirituality. And today we have Mr. JD Temple. Welcome to my corner of the universe, anyway.
Well, thank you for having me, Joey. I really appreciate it very, very much. I really do. And I'm super excited to be here.
Do you want to introduce yourself to the world on this side and tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. I'm JD Temple. I'm American, in case you can't tell. Yeah, I mean, I'm into sorcery. That's really my forte, you would say, that and healing work as well. I think that the last 5 years primarily, my focus on my spiritual path has been very much left-hand path, and Lucifer and Lilith really are kind of, I guess you would say they're my patron deities. So I'm very, very tight with them and work with them daily, whether I want to or not.
No choice. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But I wouldn't have it any other way. So, it works out.
Lilith is a really interesting energy. I've worked with Lilith a little bit when creating items for her that people work with, and she had some of the most interesting visualizations when working with in like temple space, because that's where I go. I'm like, right, if we were creating a temple space for this goddess, what would it look like? And hers is all like burnt earth and ash and like burnt earth, and I was like, wow, this is outside of the box from how they usually look. So that was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love the mystique and the like um, that sensual prana that just kind of exudes, from her spirit. I mean, I can just like feel it like a very powerful, like serpentine energy that just moves throughout my entire being. Like whenever I invoke her, and it's just like, oh, I love it every time. It never.
No complaints from JD about Lilith energy, basically.
No, not at all. No, she definitely. I have a very a special place in my heart for her, for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah. And so that kind of fits quite well with what we're talking about today, because we've decided that we're going to talk about resilience and holding your ground when things are really difficult. And Lilith kind of embodies that for me. She's kind of like the female deity that's like, no, you can keep going. It doesn't matter what gets said about you. It doesn't matter how you get tarnished. It doesn't matter what people are slinging at you. You can be powerful. You can come back from anything. You can survive. And I think that energy lends itself really well to this subject that we decided on.
Yeah, I agree, and you're absolutely right. I mean, her and Lucifer both, having embodying that adversarial energy, to not take no for an answer, and to push the envelope, and to always question everything, and to really seek your own understanding and stand on your own 2 feet. Know that you're an individual, that really you can do, be, create anything that you want, and that you don't have to take anything that really anyone tries to impress upon you at face value. You don't have to take any of it for anything, for that matter. You can take it or leave it. The choice is yours, and that's just what I really love about working with them, is the empowerment, the real sense of self, and who I am and what I'm capable of achieving. And just really, they are that driving force behind everything that I do, really, and it's kind of all wrapped up in my sexual energy as well. And it just really helps to fuel everything for me anyways. And I really think that it's like, I wouldn't want to live any other way.
I think I haven't worked a great deal with Lucifer. I have encountered Lilith over the years, every now and again, and she definitely embodies that kind of sexual freedom for me. There's that, what happens with sexuality beyond what we're being told. Like, we get presented with what sexuality is, and like even in modern spiritual realms, and it's like, well, this very small kind of closeted feel, and Left Hand Path is a little bit more open with the discussions of sexuality and power and things than say the other side of things, but there's still kind of like this, it's one of these topics which is kind of off the table for most people, and people don't really revel in it, and people don't really empower themselves with it, and there's still that real stigma of shame. And I think that when we're talking about spiritual resilience and things, and we're talking about deities like these, it's important to kind of like really focus on that liberation that comes with working with these gods, to me, because we're taught to hide sexuality, especially in the West. It's like this behind closed doors of thing that we're kind of shamed about, and we don't really discuss, we don't really like bring to the fore, we don't celebrate even. And it becomes like a, I don't know, backroom kind of shady deal, rather than, well, why shouldn't we empower ourselves? Why shouldn't we talk about these things? Why shouldn't we use magic and spirituality to further that energy? Why shouldn't we enrich our lives with it? That kind of feel.
No, I agree. I mean, it's crazy how, as the centuries have gone by, how much more we have been repressed, and especially women and their sexuality. I would really love to know what it would feel like to have lived 10,000 years ago, where or maybe even further back than that, where there was that true freedom of self-expression, because it was the culture. It wasn't anything to be ashamed of. I mean, like, to have shame and to feel bad about being human and doing things that are only human, doing things that make you feel good, doing things that you enjoy. I just think that is totally insane. I mean, life is meant to be experienced, and to do whatever it is that you want to do to gain that life experience and to gain the knowledge from it, and in order to foster true wisdom. I think without a lot of these life experiences that most people, unfortunately, really, they never get to have these experiences because of the way society is now. That I really think a lot of people will really never truly know who they are. Really, they'll have a little notion of it, but I really think it just makes it that much more difficult to embrace who you are as a human being, and who you are from a spiritual standpoint too. I mean, really, I think it takes away from the self and of the person as a whole, really, when you have that kind of oppression and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about this a fair bit because I think we're actually going backwards at the minute, like in current society and current sort of culture in the West, and ways that we're going backwards. We're telling women that their bodies aren't their own by the laws that we're passing. We're going back into the medieval kind of style of thinking rather than progressive, and we kind of get into this. And this is interesting because this phrase is going through my head over and over again, and it's probably because I mentioned Lilith, and this is something that she said before to me, is like we're getting into the shackles of servitude with a sexual nature where we're like shackling us down rather than liberating ourselves. And it becomes like sexuality is in service to someone else, and it's rather than empowering ourselves with it, and it becomes a smaller thing as well, because we, rather than, you know, explore and create and really find out who we are through our sexual natures and things, we become small instead. We become, oh, well, this is something that I need to shirk away from, and I'm not actually going to find a mate if I am overtly sexual, or if I'm playful or whatever, because it frightens people and puts people off, and we get all that kind of value judgment that comes up with that sort of thing, and so we shrink instead. And it's one of the things I really love about like a pagan-centric spiritual path, that at least the idea that is there, that it's sacred, that sexuality is sacred, and that even within pagan circles it's still not as celebrated as things. I've seen people be like, oh no, I'm sorry, there are phallic images to do with this, and it's like, why are we apologizing? But okay, I've seen that with like Cernunnos, with like the Celtic Lord of the Hunt. People are like, no, you can't show him with his phallus, and it's like, dudes, come on now. Like, he's the wild hunt.
I see that every day, like, you know, 10 times a day at least. So, you know, it's not gonna like offend me or bother me in the least. But I think like that's like when it, what it all boils down to, it's just like everything has gotten so you know, like PC and trying to go out of our way to not offend everybody and anybody, you know, like from every angle. You know, you have to like cover all your bases. You can't say this, you can't say that, you can't do this, you can't do that, kind of like you're talking about with the whole YouTube fiasco, you know, with them putting limitations on content and you know, frowning upon certain things because it's not gonna, I don't know if it's something to have to do with their corporations moral ethics or whatever it is. I mean, it's, you know, this is a platform where there should be absolute freedom of expression. You know, I mean, that's what makes this special, you know, and different than anything else. And it's, I think that they're really going to regret having that stance when the next best thing that is more tolerant than they are comes along, and you know, YouTube is a distant memory of you know, ashes and dust.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't.
Yeah. No, that's why we're on Zoom right now, because my account was taken down. And I had a strike against one of my videos, which was a spell oil. It was a 2-year-old video which was showcasing somebody's spell oil, and that was against their guidelines and rules and regulations. So then I'm not allowed to live stream currently through Google, even though I'm fighting them on it, and it's because it's not family friendly. So yeah. It felt a little bit about like spiritual repression at the time. I was like, is that what's actually going on? Because that's nonsense. It's not like an offensive video to be like, look at this spell oil with sage in it.
Like, well, hey, you know, if you're talking about oil, then you're talking about terrorism and blood,
yeah, right.
Islam, and it just goes on, and you know,
right.
You can't go there.
Being subversive, yeah, secretly subversive with spell oils.
So, do you think that it was like a viewer that flagged it for them to get their attention or something? Or
I don't think it was a viewer, because it was such an obscure video, and I had a feeling if it was like a troll, they would have gone after one of the bigger videos with like more views on it, because that will have been a really obscure one from years ago that was just to showcase for a customer. So that's going to have minimal views on it. So there's no I don't know, there's no win for the troll to go after a small tiny little video like that one. I think it's their algorithm.
I'm sorry that happened. That sucks.
Right.
It really does. But I'm sure, like everything else in life, when viewed from a different perspective and the way that things are going to turn out, because you know they're going to turn out fucking awesome in just the way that you want them to, that there's going to be some important reason behind whatever the actual reasoning is behind this whole thing. You know, it's going to be something.
Yeah, I have a feeling that I had a vibe about what I feel like it might have been about. And I feel like it's the universe right now is like, what happens if you can't do this anymore? And like, if something is taken away from you, then you suddenly realize how important it is to you. Like when you're suddenly limited and you can't do it, you can't speak the way you want to, then it kind of like balls up inside of yourself. Like, this is something I got to fight or adapt or shift or change to the point where I can still get heard or still like present my content, my point of view, what I need to talk about, but I just need to shift and adapt to the situation. And that's kind of what it felt like, because for a while I was like screw YouTube, I'm not making any videos for a while, screw them, because I was so annoyed because I'd been on there for 5 years and I'd made thousands of videos and I've never had a strike against me, I've never had any negative anything in 5 years, and then like that, all my content was gone. And I was like, that's 2,000 videos just gone over. That's all my work for 5 years. Just, and I got it back, but it was that feeling of, what are you going to fight for kind of thing.
It feels like, oh God, I can imagine how bad that really, when that really set in, the reality of it, you're probably like, fuck, dude. Like,
I was mad more than anything. I was so angry.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I can just imagine like I can feel it. It feels like a huge, like a big vortex pit in the center of my chest. It's just like, just wants to like swallow everything up. It's like, oh, like, I mean, if that would really take the wind out of my sails if that were to happen. And especially if I couldn't get the content back, I'd just be like, fuck, man. Like that would, I mean, everything that you created, all of the important messages that, touch so many people's lives and very, very impactful ways, all just gone. It's like that. I mean, that's just such a big fuck you. And I guess that's kind of a message to like everybody that is involved with YouTube in some way, shape, or form, that it's a fragile system, just like everything else is, I guess. I mean, our very way of life is a very, very insanely fragile system. But yeah, I think that is definitely, it was definitely a good, important message to send to you that like, yeah, what would you do? Or how would you go about continuing on, but it's like those types of adversity, are what sparks greatness. Like you could freaking create the next big YouTube thing, the next big platform, and it would naturally be a woman that would do something like that. So you never know.
Just women being like, fuck this, we'll make our own. I can imagine it for some reason.
Making fucking pancakes, and then we're gonna make fucking next YouTube.
Yeah.
all by 10 a.m.
Yeah. That would be interesting. Pancakes and new YouTube. Sounds like a fun combination, really.
Right, man. You just fucking put it in the bowl and mix it up, and voila. It's as easy as it is, I mean, really, like that's at the essence of it. I mean, there's really nothing to it. So I don't know what's holding you back.
Being technologically backwards probably is what's holding me back.
Yeah. There's a lot of things holding me back too, and like the main one is just outright American laziness.
You heard it here first. That's not me saying it.
I'm plagued by it, fucking like I just can't get away from it. Laziness finds me like wherever I try to freaking hide. It's like, here it is. And it's like, gotta make everything 100 times more difficult just because like I want to add that element of my own resistance to everything that I do. And like, for me, like the kiss of death for me is laziness and, just really, it just really takes me on like a vicious downward spiral to where, you know, then here comes depression, and here comes sleeping all day and all night. And then it's just like, you know, 3 days ago, I was on top of the world, and now I don't give a fuck about anything. You know, like I could create like the most beautiful artwork, or you know, channel some profound messages and revelations, and now I can't even get out of my bed. You know, like fuck.
Yeah. So how do you deal with that? How do you overcome that, and how do you become resilient to it?
Man, you know, I just roll with it, you know, because it happens to me so often. I would say probably on an average every 5 to 6 weeks, I'll go through it for a week or two. And you know, people that follow my channel, I guess they probably know by now, and I've mentioned it before. It's like, you know, if you don't see me for a while, then you know what's up. You know that I am just totally fucked, and I'm trying to like crawl out of the fucking hole, and, you know, begin again. And, you know, it just, sometimes it is really, really difficult, you know. And like, that's why like I love, you know, my great friends like Darren, because he'll check in on me and be like, what's up, man? You know, and kind of like give me a little kick in the ass that I need to, you know, motivation to kind of like put one foot in front of the other, and, you know, get the wheels rolling again when I'm just like, fuck this. And fuck you.
And then there's me behind the scenes doing the exact same thing to him.
Yeah.
So it's a cycle.
I should be thanking you then. So thank you. Thank you.
God.
And fuck you, by the way.
You're welcome. I think.
Yeah, it was a good thing. It was definitely a good thing.
Yeah, I understand with like the depression thing, because I get bouts of it, and it's one of those black hole feelings like we described earlier. It's kind of sucks all the energy out of the room, like not even just out of you, like out of the entire room, and you're just like, fuck this.
It is. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. And I've talked about it a bit on the channel before, but like sometimes like all you can fucking do is just get up in the morning, and at least you got up in the morning, at least you did that, and then you kind of have to like, right, tomorrow we're going to do a bit more, and then you just kind of like soldier through it, kind of push through it, and kind of you become resilient to it in a way, because you just have to keep fucking fighting it, basically. Because I think depression is one of those things, it's just like you're never going to conquer it completely, and some days you're going to fucking lose, and then but as long as you keep fighting, that's all you can do.
It's so strange from, you know, if you look at it from, you know, like a alchemical standpoint, you know, like what in the hell is going on with my brain that, you know, things are not firing right, or the right chemicals are not being released, and it's making me feel like shit, if that's really what it is. Or, you know, could it be, you know, at certain times, especially people like you that are, you know, like that are in the public eye, and you know, you're reaching thousands and thousands of people, you know, that you do have the probability of people trying to work against you and trying to project their shit onto you. And I think I've experienced some of that here recently, and I'm quite sure, because this last little bout that I had was very much different than it is normally. You know, there was elements of like confusion and major like self-doubt, and, you know, everything heavy and everything negative and everything that just takes away the very soul from me, basically. You know, like if I don't feel what I'm doing, I cannot do it.
Yeah, right.
I just can't, you know. And it's like, it knows, like, if it steals that from me, then I'm fucked, you know, because I can't be disingenuous and I can't pretend shit, you know, and like, I'm just not going to do that. And, you know, if I ever lose my mojo and I never get it back again, then you won't see me anymore.
Right.
because it'll
Yeah.
be over, it'll just be over. But I really, I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that that never happens.
Mm. So how do you deal with it when, from like a magical perspective and things, when you feel like it's coming from outside influences?
Really, I really focus a lot on just pampering myself, really, and really, um, taking extra special care of myself as far as making sure that I drink enough water. Because that's one thing that happens to me too. Whenever this happens, I notice, especially when it's really bad, I can't even make myself drink any water or anything. Like I won't drink anything for like 2 or 3 days, and like dehydration will really make you feel like shit, like big time, big time. Like if you've never experienced that, um, get some Pedialyte and load up on that and drink a bunch of water for like 2 days and see how amazing you feel. I mean, you'll feel like you're high almost, like on a drug or something.
Mm.
It's like, and then, on the other end of that, if you are majorly dehydrated, you're going to feel like you're coming down from a fucking really good drug. You're going to feel just so fucking shitty. Just from that one aspect of it, depression aside. But it always seems like when it hits me hard, that's one thing that it adds in there. It starts to try to like deprive me of the necessary things that I need just to survive, like sleep, for one, and sustenance. And so it just totally starts to break me down. And so that's when I have to like start making myself, drink a whole glass of water at once. Like, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to do it right now, motherfucker. And I'll do it. And
Yeah.
then I'll take a lot of salt baths and really, like I'll spend like 2 hours in the bathtub, and just the whole time I'm focusing on just releasing everything, any kind of stagnant energy, any kind of negativity, any kind of heaviness. And I really focus primarily on my Zeal chakra right here. And I make sure that that's in the warm water, and like that seems to kind of be a very important energy center for me in particular. But probably more so than anything else. It really kind of all seems to start and end right here for me. So it's like, I just say, that's really what I try to do, I mean, and it's like, I really become a recluse when this happens. I mean, I just drop off the face of the earth. And I'm sure people try to reach out to me, but I'm not even checking to see if they are, because I don't give a fuck,
Yeah.
Like, it's bad, it's terrible. I mean, when other people rely on you to help them out on their spiritual path, and you have clients, and you have just people that really need guidance and help, and you're one of those people that are there to offer that. It's terrible when you just kind of say fuck them, and I'm peacing out for a while. You're on your own, buddy. And it's like, that's horrible for me to do.
Well, I mean, you got to take care of yourself though, because if you're like constantly giving to other people, like you're constantly in spiritual service or whatnot, you're only gonna fucking drain yourself dry anyway. So if you're not 100% and you can't give them what they need, and you can't give them the best part of what it is that you give to them, and whatever it might be, lessons, videos, audio courses, whatever it might be, then you're not hitting that sweet spot that you need to anyway. So it is kind of mean, but then on the other hand, maybe it's better for them not to be. So they're not getting you at like your 50% or whatever, and you're not quite where you want to be. So I mean, it has, because I hermit too. Like I have times where I'm like, nope, I'm not peopling today, sod it, because if I'm going to lose my shit with some of the stupid stuff that comes up sometimes, and I can't, I'm going to hermit off, I'm going, and I'll do that every so often, only for a day or two, because then I'm like, right, okay, I'm over it, we can carry on or whatnot. But I think that's kind of needed sometimes though, to just, switch off and take care of yourself rather than like constantly be giving to other people, because that's draining as fuck.
It is. And I find too that when I get to that point that I'm so ungrounded, I don't even realize it, that, my head is totally in the spiritual realms and it's not here on this physical plane at all, like as far as other life obligations and responsibilities and things that are, of extreme importance. I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? What is that, man? Like, I'm fucking zenning the fuck out over here. So I don't even give a shit about those bills. Like, whatever else, like, if I'm sorry, if I was supposed to take you to the hospital at 10 o'clock today, like, you had to figure it out, man, because I am doing some other shit that is like so much more important. You have no fucking idea. And it's like, I get lost in it, and trying to maintain that balance. It's just be a difficult thing when it sneaks up on you like that, because you can be on a roll and creating this and creating that and having victories here and victories there, and you're living in that moment and you're relishing these victories, and it's just kind of like out of nowhere you get blindsided and the wind is knocked out of your sails and you go from like being on top of the world to being in the gutter like that. And it's just like, what the fuck happened? Like, yeah. I don't know. Like, I really can't even trace it back to figure out how the fuck I got here, again, it's like, shit, man. But I always try to keep in mind that, it's only temporary. I will bounce back the times where it takes me longer, I do begin to wonder sometimes, like, am I gonna bounce back this time? And I always do, and it feels so good when I do. It's like, oh, like
with that noise.
Yeah, motherfucker, yes. Like, where did you go, man? Like, where the fuck did you go? Don't do that shit to me again, motherfucker. I'm counting on you.
Yeah, I totally understand that feeling. And it's weird. I think there's like this thing that happens, and I don't know if this is true for you or not, but this is what happens to me. Is like, I know that I'm doing well, but and I can even get recognition that I'm doing well from like outside influences. But then I'll have a moment that comes in like, nobody gives a shit about what you're doing, and I don't know where it comes from. And then it's like this ugly thing that then it's like blah, 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 and then feeds that kind of depressive thought, and then you're like, right, nobody gives a fuck what I'm doing. And that's not ever true, especially when you're living in like the public eye and you're talking to people and you're talking about spirituality and things, because it does matter to people and it matters to us, and we forget that, if it matters to us, it really doesn't matter what it matters to everyone else. If it really fucking matters to us, then we should be doing it. And I think we lose that sometimes, that we forget to check in with when this is what we fucking want to be doing, and it empowers us and it makes us stronger, and it fills us with that warrior vibe of, I can do this, I can take the world, I can fight back, I can prove this, I can speak this, I can create this, or whatever it is. And I think we forget to do that. I think we forget to check in with when it's about our dream or our need or our want, and we forget that that's important too, because we live so often by giving, whatever it is.
No, I can definitely relate to that. And it's like that negative self-thought and self-talk is such a powerful thing. And that, it's like, it's always there, kind of like right there on the sidelines, like looking for that moment of opportunity to like jump in there and like, kick everything else out and fucking, rule this bitch for a while. And it's like, I hate it, but it's like, kind of like what you're saying though, it's, as much as it sucks, in a lot of ways, it's totally necessary in order for us to, get that extra spark when we need it to you know, propel ourselves forward, or to, you know, kick ourselves in the ass to you know, get to that next level, or whatever the case may be. You know, it's definitely, you know, it's like the spirit of the adversary in your life working right there. You know, it's like, you need it. You need that, that antagonistic energy in a lot of ways to kind of keep everything in check and keep everything in balance, and I guess to keep people from also like becoming overly prideful, you know, and like being like, I am so fucking wonderful and I am the shit.
Wait, have you seen Who I Live With?
Oh yeah, well, hey. God love him, man. I fucking I wish that I could, you know, feel that way about myself like that all the time. I'm definitely working on it and aspiring to be, you know, a King Butte, as you know, like in my own right, you know. So I mean, you know, yeah, I mean, he's definitely bestowed the JD motherfucking temple upon me, and that's what I do when I get up in the morning. I look in the mirror, you know, like 100 times, and I'm like, who are you? Fucking temple.
There you go.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Fucking Darren was probably doing this shit like 5 hours ago too.
Probably. That or stealing my blankets and being like, no, I'm not getting up.
Yeah. Like, oh, I've got to pee, so I'm gonna have to fucking do it. Fuck. You know? Son of a bitch, man.
Yeah. Although empowerment looks different to different people, of course, is something we should probably hit on. It doesn't necessarily have to look like it is when Darren's doing it. Sometimes it can be much quieter than that. It can be just that, you know what, this is who I am and I'm cool with it. It doesn't necessarily have to be King Berto. It can just be that kind of like quiet but resilient kind of force, which I think is more where I sit more comfortably, because I can and you'll see it when it's me and him, because I'll just be like, yeah, okay.
Well, see, I mean, that's good that you balance each other out in those ways, you know. It's like, I think I'm more on the side that you're on with that too, and it's not really a natural thing for me to be that what would you call it, what are they, I can't, yeah, you know, getting old fucking sucks, because I used to have such a broad vocabulary, and it was eloquent, and it was sophisticated, and it was intelligent and educated, and now it's a bunch of like like it's empty in there now. Like what happened to all these words? I used to have them and I could just roll it off the tongue, and now they're just like, haha, fuck you, we're out. But it's you know, like what do they call it? Like I don't know, a person that's more outgoing than reserved, you know,
Extrovert.
There you go. There we
go.
That is what I was looking for. See, you got it. You still got it, you lucky fucker. But, you know, it's I'm definitely you know, it's not very natural for me to put myself out there like that.
No, me neither. Like, to the point where I'm like, when I'm approaching people, it feels awkward to me. Like, even approaching people to be like, do you want to come do this and talk with me? That's not natural for me at all. So that's been something that I've been trying to do lately, is be like, nope, we're going to do it. We're going to speak to different people.
Yeah, getting out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, basically.
That's one thing that when I was like 21, and this is totally crazy, especially for people that know what I'm talking about, they're going to be like, oh my fucking God. Like, I did this I got into this multi-level marketing thing, and it was basically like Amway on the internet type of deal. And, you know, I didn't know that's what it was when I got involved with it, but, you know, I did it, and I actually was pretty successful at it. And, I hated having to go out and try to like contact people because, you know, like every day you go to like Home Depot or fucking Lowe's or whatever and fucking stroll around looking for somebody that you can go up and, you know, fucking solicit basically, you know, into your business. And it's like, but you find like the more you do it, the easier it gets, the more natural it becomes for you, and you actually start to get comfortable. And then, you know, there's some excitement that comes along with it, because like once you start, you know, seeing results and seeing that, wow, I can reach people and get through to them or influence them. And you know, and I did, you know, eventually I had to get out of that because I wasn't being totally upfront and honest with people, because you just kind of really can't be. And when you're trying to communicate that type of business model to people, you know, like if they're just like, oh, that's a fucking pyramid scheme, dude, fuck you, asshole, you know, it's like, no, but it's not, you know, like it really makes sense just to defend multi-level marketing people that are really into it and that love it and that are successful with it. It really does make sense. So like, if, you know, we're all consumers, and if you had your own store, where would you shop, right? You would shop from yourself, right? And so the only thing you have to do is teach other people how to do that too, right? And so like, that's fucking easy. That's simple. Like, it's simple as shit. Buy from yourself, and like you teach other people how to do that, and everybody like downline from you, you're gonna fucking reap the rewards of them just buying from themselves every month too. And it's like, if they could just like be like, that is it, that is the fucking program, that's how it goes. All this other extra fucking like fucking brainwashing bullshit and everything else is not necessary, you know. But it's like some people just can't grasp the concept without adding in all this extra insanity, you know. And I think people do that with their magic too, you know. They gotta like overcomplicate the fuck out of it. And,
right.
and it turns into something that's just totally insane, and not something that is sustainable for them, really.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it loses potency that way too, because you're kind of convoluting, you're kind of making it into something overly complex, and you're going round the houses rather than just directly to whatever it is that you're doing in magic. And I notice that a lot, that especially like the older I get, the more I appreciate like the simplicity and of simple magic that has a depth and a complexity to it, but on the surface of it people are like, oh well, that's simple, and it's, you know, that's not elaborate enough. And you're like, well, it doesn't need to be elaborate enough. Like, it doesn't have to be crazy, it can be simple and yet be potent. So yeah.
And how hard is that to like actually teach people how to do that, you know? Because they're always like, well, yeah, well, teach me how to do that. And it's like, oh my God, yeah, like it's so simple, but yet it is so complicated because it's inside of me and I feel it and I know how to use it and do it. But for me to explain to you how to generate that power within yourself, it's like, it's very, like, you know, you're going to have to do it this very old school rudimentary approach, you know, and I'm just going to fucking be like, I'm the man, fucking done, you know. Like, it's that easy, you know. It's like fucking, you know, putting the key in the fucking ignition and fucking there you go. And it's like, when you get to that point, it's crazy, but it can be frustrating because it's like, I don't know how people really take you, you know, when you tell them like, yeah, you're eventually going to be able to do it like this. It's like, well, I want to do that now. So teach me how to do it. And it's like, well, yeah. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, you're full of shit. You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, dude, trying to describe things. Like, I realized recently that I have a subconscious self-defense mechanism, which I call death screaming. And I realized that when I was like under attack in the night, I would get up and I would like subconsciously, and I would scream at things. And for ages, I was like beating myself up, like, why am I this far along my path and things are still making me scream in the middle of the night? And then it clicked into place that I wasn't screaming because I was afraid of things. I was screaming at whatever it was and like creating a barrier, like dissipating, like getting rid of it. And I was like, how do I explain this to people without sounding nuts?
Yeah. Oh, I know exactly what you mean. I do. I mean, like, I've done that with, I guess, I don't know what the fuck it was. It was a spirit of some sort, or, you know, so it was some type of egregor that somebody sent, or that it came home with me or something. And it was really an asshole, and it was making me feel like shit. And I really couldn't get it to go away until I did exactly what you just said. I like a crazy fucker down here in my basement by myself, screaming at the air, you know, to back the fuck up, to get the fuck out of here, to stop fucking with me, or, you know, like, if it wants to fucking do it, we're gonna fucking do it. We're gonna do it right now, motherfucker. Get the fuck in front of me right now, and I'm gonna show you who the fuck is more powerful, motherfucker. And after I did that, that shit was gone, dude. And I was like, yeah, motherfucker. And it was great, you know, but it was like, yeah, if somebody saw me or heard me do
right?
it, like, all right, we need to fucking institutionalize this motherfucker. Like, you know, we've been thinking it for years, but now we know.
No proof.
Yeah, look at him. Look at this crazy fucker, you know. Like, but it totally works, though, you know, like standing your ground and laying claim to whatever it is with passion and you know, like an aggressive force behind it. I mean, that was proof to me when I finally did. I don't even know why I did it. I guess because I just got so fucking fed up with what it was doing. It's not like me to really be, I'm a very passive person. I'm not a very aggressive person at all. And I avoid conflict like the plague, you know, but it really felt good to do that, though, you know, to be like, all right, I'm gonna man the fuck up with this shit, and like, you know, really fucking let him know who he's dealing with, you know. Like, I know who I'm dealing with kind of now from all your little stupid little bullshit shit that you're doing, like fucking with me. You know, like, you're gonna try to bring the little fucking shit to me. I'm gonna bring the show to you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, right now. And like, I mean, it was an instantaneous thing. I mean, I could actually like see it like tucking its tail and fucking running off. And it never fucking came back either. I mean, not that I'm aware of anyways. What I just recently went through was different than that was. But, you know, it's, you know, it's like, even though I sit here and I complain about how much it sucks, I have to look at it from the perspective of how necessary it is, really. You know, ultimately, it's I should be like, I'm so glad you're back, motherfucker. You know, like, really, it's so good to see you. Just fucking bring the pain. Bring the fucking pain. You know, let's just fucking do it, man. Like, and eventually I'll end up just like embracing the fuck out of it. And then that's when everything will probably make sense, you know?
Yeah. The learning through conflict.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I got on my path anyways, you know, was through just being terrified and fucked with every single night, all night long, and you know, trying to combat the energies of the spirits, you know, through you know, Judeo-Christian methods, and nothing was working, and it was worse, you know. And when I finally embraced it, it was like, shit, like everything was fucking great, you know. All the fear subsided, the anxiety was gone, the panic, and you know, the physical you know, I don't use the word molestations, you know, not like that, but just the physical attacks and things like that. I mean, just everything. It was just over, and it was kind of like, yep, we did our job, got your attention. Now you understand. You've embraced the darkness, and you're going to hell. So rock on.
We're about time, so it's kind of a good way to finish.
Yeah. Like I've, you know, never felt you know, so free in my life.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Is there anything you want to just promote at the end of this video, just so people know where to find you and what you're doing right now?
And thank you again for having me, Joey. Like,
you are so welcome.
Really awesome. I've like so enjoyed it. I really have. Really cool. Enjoyed it a lot. Well, everyone can find me. I have a channel. It's called From the Light of the Darkness. My website and my Bonanza store is jdtemple.info. So if you just go to either Bonanza or to jdtemple.info, that's my website. I've got lots of different services, and I do a lot of consultations. I do a lot of healing work. You know, I think the biggest thing really is like the intuitive, you know, consultations, like magical consultations where people are stuck on their path, or they're confused about this or that. You know, I really have a lot of success in helping people, you know, from that aspect of things. And I think that's, you know, that along with the healing work is the most rewarding. I do a lot of spirit buying. I've worked a lot with incubi and succubi, and you know, that can be very rewarding as well when things go as they should. You know, those things don't always go as people intend them to if they don't heed my advice and my recommendations. Then things can kind of go haywire, and they can run amok. But you know, when people take spirit keeping from the right approach, it can be very, very rewarding, you know, in their lives. And when I see the impact that it's made, and you know, I'm getting weekly reports of how, you know, their relationship with their spouse is better, and their sex life is better, and you know, they are coming together intimately and emotionally, you know, stronger bond than they've ever had in their lives, and you know, things of that nature. It's like, yeah, that is what it's all about right there. It's not really a sex toy. It's like it's a like relationship enhancer, you know, relationship saver in a lot of ways. So yeah, so I do that. But yeah, so people can find me on YouTube or find me at jdtemple.info, and you know, I'm always around unless I'm depressed. So
unless it's one of those weeks like we covered already.
Yeah. So, you know, yeah. So hit me up. I would be glad to help anyone to do anything that I'm able to help them with. So, yeah.
Cool. I will attempt to remember to put all the links down below for everybody watching this later. And hopefully I will remember to do that. We'll find out, brain being what it is. So thank you so much for coming on. It was cool.
Oh,
it was fun.
Loved it. Thank you so much.
Cool. All right. So I will see you guys on my channel soon. And